Show here. My name is John Jimmy Musimbi, and of course the hashtag is always the Daybreaker. But generally, just as we are heading to the 2021 polls, it's always the 20 UG polls 2021. Now you can catch the discussion at Trako TV Uganda on Twitter, at John Jim Musimbi on Twitter, and of course John Jimmy Musimbi on YouTube and Record TV on YouTube, and also on our Facebook pages. We shall be streaming live, so you can be rest assured to comment and follow the discussions, and we shall be moving that direction. Now, as we start the show, of course, I know we are approaching elections and it's a beehive of activities in different camps. But of course, as Record TV and as John Jimmy Musimbi, I will choose peace for today and tomorrow. Now, this morning we shall be discussing many things, but of course we shall be zeroing down to protecting your goal and promoting it as a youth amidst the pandemic of COVID-19 and HIV/AIDS prevalence. This morning, my guest is George TAMALE, who happens to be the Executive Director at $1 Initiative. Good morning, Mr. George TAMALE. I would ask that you take off your mask, since there is enough distance between us.
Yes, I agree. Thank you very much, and good morning to you and to all our viewers on Record TV.
Well, how is $1 Initiative? What good things are there for us?
$1 Initiative is doing great. Of course, for us, we are looking at still mobilizing resources, domestic resources, to fight HIV and AIDS plus other health challenges. And because, as you know now, when COVID came in, it distorted our earlier plans of fighting the diseases that we had, including HIV/AIDS and others. Now, when COVID came in, the focus almost 100% went on COVID, leaving the other health challenges, which are now on the rise, and that's why we are here.
Yeah, I think that is a very good observation, because it's been a complaint by many people that when COVID set in, that is on the 21st of March, if my memory serves me right, because I remember the lockdown was pronounced on the 18th of March 2020, yes. And the first case was actually registered on the 21st
yes.
of March of 2020. So a lot of attention was actually shifted to COVID-19. Many media houses, including Record TV, I remember ran stories of people with yes. HIV yes. Who were actually finding it hard to even access medication and the ARVs simply because of the lockdown. Yes. And of course, many resources were actually diverted for the coronavirus pandemic. A lot of attention was drawn to that. And tell me about that experience as $1 Initiative, an organization that is so much involved in helping out HIV patients, and of course being at the front line of fighting HIV.
Yeah, thank you very much. The experience was not good, as you rightly said, during the lockdown, because movement was restricted. Many service providers initially did not have stickers to move. The distribution of drugs and other essential commodities was not as that adequate. The patients would not access their doctors nor their medication. So it was a bit chaotic. However, the partners in the HIV and AIDS fight, together with the Ministry of Health, tried to come up with quick solutions, and then the patients got. But we also know that disruption, of course, did not do us good. As you might be aware, if somebody is on ARVs, even missing for one day to take their drugs is a bit disastrous. But we are happy to note that now people are getting their treatment and the other medical supplies that they need.
As $1 Initiative, just for the probably our viewer getting to understand well,
Yes.
Because maybe an HIV patient would run to you for help, but maybe any other. Did you also handle other health challenges? What did you exactly do? I only know you for HIV campaigns.
Okay, thank you. $1 initiative is an initiative of the private sector, initiated and started to mobilize domestic resources to end HIV and AIDS in Uganda. Now, among the things we do, of course, is to mobilize the resources. Later, we'll be able to give out these resources to partners to implement. However, we also run educational, prevention, and other campaigns in health generally. For instance, we handle HIV counseling and testing. We are promoting the Know Your Status campaign, but targeting men through the self-testing initiative, where we are looking at men knowing their status. We give out free self-test kits, and then they test themselves, of course, together with the health centers that they are close to. We also handle sexual productive health, because we know HIV, AIDS cannot be handled in isolation. So we handle HIV, AIDS plus other health challenges. We are now looking at youth. How do they protect their goal? How do they stay safe? How do they combat teenage pregnancies? How do they handle STIs? Now we are in COVID, because once you have a compromised health immune system, you are susceptible to getting COVID than any other person. So we are also handling COVID. So ideally, we are handling HIV plus other health challenges, and of course, there are many.
This is a very good initiative, because a lot of organizations have actually zeroed down on maybe castigating the government on its ups and downs, and but if you can give in to issue, provide such services, it's a good thing. But one would wonder if they opted to say they want to join the initiative, to be part of this good cause. How would one do that? Because I'm certain there are well-wishers out there who would wish to say, hey, look, we need to contribute or be part of this good cause.
Yes. Now, the contributions, first of all, our offices are in Umasho Ground, Lugogo. That is where the $1 offices are. But they are also at the Federation of Ugandan Employers in Ntinda, the head office. We have a town liaison office at Umasho Ground, Lugogo. All Ugandans are welcome, because the initiative targets you and me, targets the private sector companies, targets individuals, targets Rotarians, targets everybody. But also it targets Ugandans in the diaspora. Because I wanted to start from where you ended, that government is doing a lot, and development partners in the fight of HIV/AIDS and other health challenges. However, the money that Uganda needs is a lot. We cannot leave the challenge of fighting diseases to government alone. We will not manage. One, it requires a lot of money. Two, it also requires other input. For instance, when we have, right now we are training $1 champions to help champion the fight against HIV/AIDS plus other challenges. Now they're also doing COVID. We cannot leave this struggle to only government and government officials. And that's why $1 initiative is coming in. Secondly, for people who would want to contribute, we have what we call mobile platform. Because it was started, this initiative is a private sector-led initiative. We have partnership with MTN and Airtel, who give us dedicated codes for you, from where Ugandans can contribute. And maybe for those on MTN, it is simple. You just dial *165*4 *4# and then you follow the prompt. Of course, it's going to ask for the merchant code, and then you type in $1 as in letters. Then it will ask for the reference, you put your name, it asks for the amount, maybe you put in 1 million, maybe 500, maybe 700, maybe 4,000, and then you put the PIN, you send. When one sends that, the money goes to MTN, but then it will cross to Stanbic Bank, and it is safe. Now, for those who are on Airtel, still we have a dedicated code. You dial *185 *4 *9 hash. It will ask you for the business number. You type in 300 600, and then you follow the prompt, ask for the name, ask for the reference, and then the PIN, and then one sends the money. Then we'll get it. That one will go straight to Centenary Bank.
You talk so positively about HIV, hoping that maybe it's gonna end soon. You know, this has been a fight,
yes,
especially since the years of 1989, when
specifically 82, actually.
Yes, 82, but by then it wasn't so much visible in the population.
Yes,
I remember by then I wasn't born, but the history I've read talks about people who actually would call it witchcraft,
yes,
until maybe by around 88, around December.
Yes,
that is when I think one of the popular musicians by then, Philip Bongo Lutaya, comes out and declares that yes, I'm HIV positive, and maybe others took it upon themselves to accept that truth. And unfortunately, he didn't live long. By 1989, he succumbed to the disease.
yes.
So do you think that as a country we could end HIV by 2030? Because I'm afraid it's already 2021.
Yes.
And the way people have unprotected sex is worrying. The way people do not mind their sexual behaviors is really worrying.
Yes, we can actually end HIV by 2030 if we all do what we are supposed to do. Let me start with the youth. Of course, we know the youth are now having a lot of challenges. Unemployment, a lot of STIs, now there are unemployment, there is poverty. However, if the youth decided to, what we are calling, to protect their goal, what do they want to be 3, 4, 5, 10 years, they can decide to live healthy lives. It is also worrying that now we have weekly infections of HIV are 1,000. And by the time we will have ended this show, we will have got about 8 people getting infected with HIV. Yet, these 8 new people can be averted if only people practiced the healthy lifestyle and protect themselves. Now, we also need to teach people. Currently, not everybody knows how HIV is spread and prevented. Among women, there are about 43%. About 43% of them know how HIV is transmitted and prevented. The other percentage do not know. The men are slightly higher, maybe about 46. The other percentage do not know. We cannot end by 2030 if we still have many people who are not aware of what they need to do to protect themselves. That's why we are saying that we need a combined effort. Because the money which we would have to train people is not there. And that's why we are calling on you and me to join this I use the word struggle. Join the struggle and we end it. The same applies to COVID. We need to go back to our normal lifestyle. Now it is called the new normal. We want to go back to where businesses are operating well, schools are in operation. I will tell you that since the lockdown, because the education sector is not yet fully open, you cannot imagine what is happening to our teenagers, especially the young girls. Somebody does not know how HIV is spread, does not know how STIs move from one person to another. There are a lot of now teenage pregnancies. There are a lot of child fathers and child mothers, because people are in lockdown. Ideally, kids used to be at school and maybe they are kept there, but now they're on the flat, they're in the village. So these are the challenges that we need to address, but it requires resources. And that's why we need every Ugandan support and contribution so that we end it.
In many organizations, before we take a break, I would love you to hit on this. Many organizations actually do fundraise. We've seen this even during the COVID-19 National Task Force, that it has failed to account for all the money that was donated and given to it by the citizens. What is this money going to do if people, for example, use the merchant codes? People give you this money in good faith to in return, of course, of the good health of the citizens. Since you're preaching fighting for the HIV/AIDS, what assurance should somebody out there have that their money is actually going to be put to good use?
Thank you very much. The money is governed by the private sector. We have a board, fully constituted board, which comprises of private sector subsectors. We have somebody from education. We have the chairperson is Professor Vina Nantulia. The patron on $1 initiative is Mr. Patrick Bitatule. Then we have Mr. Gideon Badagawa of Private Sector Foundation. We have somebody from construction. We also have UNAIDS on the board. We have Uganda AIDS Commission. We have Minister of Finance. We have a National Organization of People Living with the HIV. We also have the hotel sector. So it is a multi-sectoral board, but with people of integrity. The resources contributed by the Ugandans and the private sector cannot be stolen. It will be put to use. I also like to tell you that most of the money is going to go largely into prevention, because for treatment we have the ARVs. Good enough, our donors are still giving us the ARVs. The treatment, government of Uganda provides the treatment and care. What we only lack, again, is on prevention. The resources for HIV/AIDS awareness and prevention is not enough. And that is where initially we will start. But of course, the resources also go into the care and support. But also need be, we can also provide the treatment. But for now, we are getting a lot of resources that go into treatment. But we are looking at that time, because now COVID hit the richest countries. We don't know what will happen. And of course, the partners have been supporting HIV and AIDS fight for Uganda for the last 38 years, because it has been here for about 38 years. But now with the coming in of human rights issues, violence issues across Africa, we are also looking at environment being degraded, we are looking at immigration and others, are making the donors shift from health generally to other priorities that are pressing. And now with the coming in of COVID, the situation for 2021 might be a little bit worse.
Just in about a minute, we shall be going in for a commercial break. But before we do, a hint on how COVID-19 has impacted on the youths, and thereafter we shall be heading for a break before we come back.
Yeah, thank you very much. COVID-19 has impacted everybody, but the youth, we are, according to reports coming in, they have been affected also more than the other sectors. One, of course, there was a lot of unemployment. Now, when we have industry reducing on staff, we have industries not fully operating, we have the different sectors that were engaging, the youth were engaging, ICT and others, slowing down because of COVID-19, the impact is hard. But also we know that in terms of health challenges, the youth face a lot of health challenges, especially on sexual reproductive front, as we indicated that now the shift is on COVID-19. Look at the awareness programs that Ministry of Health had across the diseases. It is now almost, the tick is in 100% on COVID and also low on the other. Now, this puts the youth in a very compromised state, making them vulnerable to diseases, making them vulnerable to a lot of risks, and therefore being affected more by COVID-19.
Well, thank you so much for that discussion. We're discussing about how youths can actually be protected, especially from the HIV, AIDS, and the COVID-19 pandemic that has, of course, humbled many nations back to their knees because of the unpreparedness. The world did not know what is COVID-19 exactly. But of course, I'm happy that majority of the countries have now an idea of how the pandemic can be contained and good enough. In some countries, we see that there is a vaccine that has been found such that people do not go on contracting the COVID-19. We hope that the Ministry of Health in Uganda is also doing whatever it can to ensure that the country gets its own vaccine, or it gets at least a vaccine imported, such that many of us in the country can maybe battle solving other problems and save the situation from the coronavirus. My name is John Jimmy Musimbi, and we do take a very short commercial break. The Daybreaker returns shortly. Do stay with us.
Hello, how are you? Tell me, how do you do?
We're here to show some appreciation for the things you do.
Sent you for today, and they sent you for tomorrow. Sent you for every time and everywhere you go. We love you so, and we enjoy life with you. We are happy, happy, happy to know that we will go with you. That's why we say,
Thank you.
Thank you for choosing MTN. Use MTN mobile money, bundles or other services to get Thank You points. The more you use, the more Thank You points you get. We look forward to many more years together. Thank you. I choose peace for. I choose peace for.
My degree. I want to finish campus and go.
I choose peace for.
Profits. When things are okay, customers are flowing. Okay.
Peace is this, that, and so much more. But above everything, peace puts Uganda first. Choose peace for today and tomorrow as you participate peacefully in the 2021 elections. Visit NIMD Uganda on Facebook and Twitter today. This message is brought to you by the Netherlands Institute for Multi-Party Democracy in partnership with Interparty Organization for Dialogue. iPod, putting Uganda first.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. If you've just joined us, you're watching the Daybreaker morning show here on Record TV. My name is John Jimmy Musimbi, and of course we are discussing about how youths can be protected from the coronavirus pandemic, but also HIV/AIDS, which is a big deal in this country, as many youths have not cared to protect their lives. And of course the $1 initiative has come out to say, hey, look, for us, we are handling this vis-a-vis alongside the government effort to end the HIV/AIDS prevalence in the country by 2030. Now, of course, I wanted to understand from you, how has COVID-19 impacted, of course, the youths? You had mentioned that. So I wanted to understand, how is COVID-19 affecting individuals generally? Maybe in this we could attach the youths. We've seen some of them becoming idle, and maybe this explains the violence we see in town. Comment on that.
Yeah, thank you. Because of the COVID-19, of course, as I talked of the disruptions in business operations and also activities in which the youth were engaged in, including school, including universities. Now, of course, with the coming in of the elections, and because they were not engaged in economic activities, it is a bit easier for them to engage in electioneering and the electioneering violence that we have, because the guidance is not as to that level. And so we use this opportunity again to appeal to the youth that you need to protect your goal. As I mentioned, you can only protect your goal if you are healthy and you are living healthy and living healthy lifestyles. It is very okay to support someone, but it is not good to engage in violent acts as a youth. Of course, we see them saying, this one is not in my camp, this one should not leave, we should beat them. That is not right, because they will be arrested, and therefore you will not be able to live to your goal, to live your dream. But of course, some of these are coming in because they are free, they are idle, they are not engaged in activities that previously were engaged in because of COVID-19. Because look at the maybe entertainment industry, you look at the schools, some of them are suppliers, you look at those who are in this events management and deco and others. So it makes them now available for any other issue that comes up, including now engaged in elections and electioneering activities.
We're discussing more of the youths, but we can't imagine that everyone knows who is more at a risk of COVID-19 than the other. You see, these messages are preached,
yes,
but more often the community complains that majority of the messages are actually in English. Many of them do not actually understand the messages. So a highlight on that about the ages and the key risks of COVID-19.
Now, thank you very much. Of course, we know that those who are 65 years and above, because they are by age, they are affected more. Those with the other chronic illnesses like heart disease, blood pressure, respiratory diseases at a higher risk. However, we also have people with immune system suppression, and that is now where I want to focus, which includes HIV, cancer, and others. Now, because in Uganda, when we are born, and also as we live our lives, we rarely go for total checkup to see what's health checkup. So you may find a youth having a heart problem or a kidney problem when they do not know, because they were not previously examine fully. Because as you live and there is nothing that you feel that is maybe hurting, or you just live the life like that. Unfortunately, some of them might be having underlying conditions, underlying conditions not detected. And so makes them susceptible to, again, COVID-19. Of course, we also know that very many Ugandans are living with HIV and they do not know, especially men, and they have not tested. Now, when you are living with HIV and you've not tested and you get COVID-19, it will affect you more. So it is not a disease that it is for only old people. Also young people are getting it and actually are dying. Maybe we need to have these statistics run. It is not only old people alone. But again, when you look at the impact that you get COVID and you are isolated and you are in treatment, of course the other businesses of yours will be cut off. So it is not that the impact is not about the disease alone, but also the disruption when you are going under that treatment. So that's why we are saying it is better to protect themselves. It is better to wear a mask. It is better to wash your hands. Now what we see the youth are saying, now that is a disease for the old. I don't need to wash, I don't need to put on a mask. For us, we're okay. The answer is no. And of course, there are also other challenges. If they are youth, they are saying, now I'm looking nice, I'm putting on a mask, how will my friends see me? I'm putting on my lipstick, is it the face? Now imagine my hair, all that. We are saying, for purposes of ending COVID-19, let us not focus on that. Let us practice the SOPs, because COVID-19 is real and it is there. Unfortunately, some people to date do not realize that. You enter a taxi, I see some people on boda, 3 people, all of them not wearing, including the rider. It is not good. And if we have the numbers go high, the country is going to suffer more. And as I mentioned, the youth will suffer most.
Well, I would also love to understand. You see, coronavirus is a bit complex. That it may come in form of a normal flu, that one wouldn't actually realize that maybe it's COVID.
Yes.
Because there are asymptomatic cases whereby one can hardly tell, and before you know it, you're gone. So, there have been mechanisms made. The ministry had put a certain fee for one to test for COVID-19, but also there was an exception for those with signs. Could you highlight on that? Because the public seems confused about what exactly is what. Does everybody have to pay? Is it somebody who just sits home and thinks, I should go and make a test, that is charged, or even that one with symptoms and signs present is also charged that same amount? If you have knowledge to highlight that.
Thank you. Of course, those who are charged are those who maybe are traveling, maybe who are going in for their businesses, but also those who may not have the signs but want to test for maybe personal or family reasons, and others. Now, those ones with the signs, those ones who have had previous contact with the COVID persons, those ones who are not feeling well, those ones who have, like I said, had contact with others, who could have, they suspect they could have maybe picked it. Those ones, when they go to hospital, they don't charge.
Which hospitals anyway? Because there are quite many at the moment which are treating HIV and which are offering those services. So you clearly need to highlight that.
Yes, the government hospitals, when you go to the government hospitals, you'll be treated. You'll be, first of all, tested free, and then, of course, if they find that you are positive, you'll be also treated free. So the government hospitals are handling the tests for COVID-19 free. But of course, they cannot, for now, me, if I don't feel anything, I don't have a high temperature, I don't have a fever, I don't have a running nose, I don't have the itchy, the throat, and I walk in there, the questions they ask me before the test may not warrant me to have the test. So there are those that highly suspect that they could be having it, that they test. Now, that's why they say, that's why it is said that if you, that's why we say you need to put on the mask, you need to wash your hands, such that even if you have it, that you are symptomatic, that you cannot show, and you don't feel anything, still you will be preventing others from getting it. Because the test is expensive. To date, Uganda has tested 383 to people as of 3rd this year. We've not hit 1 million. Now, if it is open that everybody goes to test, Uganda does not have that money. We've not yet hit 1 million. That's why we want to test someone who we think is positive, and then they are put on treatment. Others who are symptomatic, and if they are practicing SOPs, they will be able to incidental one can heal even when they have not gone to hospital. If they are eating well, they are having that balanced diet, and others, it might go by itself.
Maybe just moving a little bit back to HIV, as you know, we are trying to preempt both of them and talk about both of them, because directly coronavirus or COVID-19 has affected the HIV/AIDS patients. So it would be unfair for us to discuss more of the other without hinting more on the other as well. But just to take you back, do you think HIV and AIDS is still a big problem after 38 years in Uganda?
Very huge problem. As of now, we have roughly 1.5 million Ugandans living with HIV. That is a big number. Out of those ones, we have about 1.3 on ARVs. And these ARVs, they will take them for life. That is a huge cost. But like I mentioned, what is worrying is that we are having 7 new infections every hour. And 1,000 new infections weekly. These are huge numbers. But also, we note that still some people are dying because of HIV. So 38 years, yes, still, the problem is huge. And that's why we are here. If we can only stop the new infections, like right now, the government and partners have reduced the number of new infections among babies. It has significantly reduced. Unfortunately, young men out there do not want to test. They don't want to go to hospital. According also to statistics, the young men do not want to put on the masks, do not want to wash your hands, they don't want to practice SOPs. We are also told, the last newspaper I read, that again also COVID-19 is killing largely men. More men die of COVID-19 than women.
Yes, that's actually, it was the Daily Monitor.
Yes, the same is true.
I remember having read that.
The same is true for HIV and AIDS. In terms of prevalence, women, there are many. Currently, there are about 830, and the men 530. But in terms of death, annual death, the HIV kills more men than women. And that's why this year's...
so that means there is a laxity on the side of men.
And that's why we want to appeal to the men. Protect your goal, protect your family. Put on the basics. Let them wash hands. Because even washing hands, some people will go and just wash the tip. I also see now the supermarkets, they used to be some hard supermarkets. You can't enter without a mask. Now they're a bit relaxed. We need to go back to that. Because when you look at the daily statistics, do you know that we have all hit 628 new infections for COVID in Uganda.
Which is so worrying. But
Which is
then I'll just love to understand. You see, all this we are discussing about is
Yes.
at this point in time mixed with elections,
Yes.
as we are all aware that the elections begin next week on Thursday. With the presidential and parliamentary elections
Yes.
come 14th of January, which is going to be a Thursday. And of course, subsequently, other elections will be following ahead.
Yes.
What advice do you give the youths amidst all this we are discussing? The prevalence of HIV, the prevalence of COVID amongst the country, and of course now here comes elections. People have been having massive rallies. Oh my God. Youths have actually, if you remember the November 18th, 19th riots in Kampala that claimed over 55 lives. So it's a bit worrying. It's a mixed reaction. What do you make of this, and what do you have for the youths out there?
The advice is that, of course, let them get involved in selecting their leaders. It is their right, and it is a good thing to do. But desist from mass gatherings, desist from violence. It would be too unfortunate that you elect your leader that you want and don't live to see what they are doing, or don't live to see the promises they made to you. We are appealing them not to be violent. They can go and cast their votes, stay calm, and wait for the results. But also what we know is that because this has been coupled with the festive season, some people are actually, the youth are celebrating 2020 by drinking. It is okay, we crossed, we survived HIV, we survived Corona, we are now in 2021. So the whole of this month, other people are celebrating, unfortunately celebrating also with practices of risky lifestyles. We are appealing to them, do not engage in risk lifestyles that will not enable you live your dream, live your goal, and be a...
Yes, you talk about living their goals, but of course, how can they live their goals without realizing them? I want you to hint on that. How best should youths do to realize their dreams and goals?
Thank you. First of all, in order to realize and live your dream and goal, you must be healthy. You must be healthy, you must live healthy lifestyles. Of course, some of them maybe have gone to school or have skills. Have skills that will give them resources, will give them money. You can only live and attain this if you are healthy, if you are living healthy lifestyles. If you are going to get involved in risk lifestyles and maybe you get sick, you get HIV, you get the pregnancies and you get the disruptions because you are maybe carrying a baby at that young age, you may not be able to fully realize or live your dream. And that's the message you want to give the youth.
Well, I would love you to give your last remarks as we get to the end of this show.
Okay, thank you.
Looking just directly into the camera.
As we get to the end of the show, one, we appeal to the youth to stay calm, not to be violent, to be peaceful during this electioneering period. Secondly, to make sure you live, you protect your goal, and you realize your dream. It is only a healthy person living healthy lifestyle that can realize their dream. And that is what we want to appeal to you, that you can live productive lives, very productive lives ahead. You need to be healthy, you need to be practicing and living healthy lifestyles.
Well, that is George TAMALE for you, the Executive Director of the $1 Initiative, an organization charged with, of course, saving lives and advocating for the end of HIV/AIDS in the country. But I'm glad they've also entertained the campaigns to end other diseases, just as we've talked. about the COVID-19 pandemic in the country, which has claimed many bigwigs of this country. We remember just of late the second Deputy Prime Minister, that's the encyclopedia Uganda has had over time, Chirunda Chiveidinda succumbed to the same. We saw the Deputy Government Spokesperson, Kano Shaban Bantariza, who also succumbed to the same. And of course, many other members of Parliament in different parts of the country succumbing to the same, something that is so unfortunate. So when we discuss about this, it's not a joke. One may say that, hey, maybe Batariza and Chiveidinda died because of old age, so they were more prone to the disease. But you also understand the likes of Rehema Watongola, who died in Iganga municipality. She wasn't that old, still a youth. But hey, she succumbed to the disease. So it's better you take serious caution as we near this time of election, that you should not put yourself at risk of contracting COVID-19 because it's so costly to actually have you treated. And as we know, the ministry has already communicated, most of the hospitals are full and the space to accommodate you may not be there. So you could lose a life just because of your laissez-faire and not minding about the actions you do, because you could be planting a seed for your death tomorrow. And of course, the same applies to the HIV and AIDS. You shouldn't say because, hey, schools have been closed, and of course we are redundant, and then you engage in unregulated sexual behaviors. You know, you should be a regulator of yourself. Do not allow your bodies to ruin your future just because this is what you feel like you need to have somebody, and then you sleep with someone whose HIV status you even have no idea about. I think that is so wrong if indeed the country is to actually end the HIV prevalence in the country by 2030. Well, that's all we had for you this morning. I'm afraid we can't go beyond that. My name is John Jimmy Musimbi. And of course, we shall be having our subsequent bulletins, that's the one on Awali News, by Ibrahim Lubega Kasenga at 6 p.m. and Shamim Nabakoza will be coming with the 8:30 Speak Uganda English News. And of course, the UG Polls show will be coming in at exactly 2 p.m. And as we plan ahead, a lot more could come. As you know, this is an election period. More surprises could come. Just as you saw yesterday at 8 p.m., we had one of the presidential candidates, Nancy Linda Kalembe. But of course, we see how the programs move as we engage to see whether we can have more of these surprises for you, and of course, bring you up to speed with the people who want to lead you in this country in different capacities at different levels. My name is John Jimmy Musimbi, and you've been watching the Daybreak Morning Show. Thank you for being part of Record TV. I choose peace as John Jimmy Musimbi for today and tomorrow as we approach the elections. Have a lovely morning.